There is an African saying that says the best time to leave the stage, you're dancing and really entertaining the crowd, and they're really feeling you, and they're really delighting in your dance. The best time to leave that stage is when that dance is at its climax. Yes, people are going to be disappointed. People are going to demand more from you. But human nature is very fickle, because in this particular case, people will not remember the missteps you had. They will not remember the very nervous start you started with. Those will be forgiven, and they will only remember that you left them begging for more from you. Nelson Mandela left office after only one term. He's a hero, an icon, somebody whose name will last till the end of time. My great Tanzanian hero, Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere. It is very easy to identify the mistakes he made during his presidency. But because he left office when people were still begging for more, he's a hero, he's an icon. Political analysts will always focus on the good things he did. Now, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni liberated Uganda. That is the truth. He has done a lot of things for Uganda over the decades. However, he is stubbornly refusing to leave the stage. And already, where the situation is, nobody wants to remember the good he did. Indeed, just now when I've mentioned the good he has done, I know I've rubbed people up the wrong way. Because human nature is such that people don't want to hear about that. In fact, there are people who will confidently say, the vast majority of Ugandans, that it would have been better if he had not liberated us. But actually, if you look at this thing from another angle, it's hilarious. This man has been dancing for decades. When he started dancing, he was a young man. He had all the moves. Now he's an old man, almost lame. Still insisting on dancing, using the same old styles he used decades ago, which are now very boring and extremely annoying. And the crowd is asking him, leave the stage, we have other dancers, leave the stage, imetosha. But he doesn't want to leave the stage. So now it's becoming comedy, He used to swing in milliseconds, now he's taking 1 hour to do one swing. His back is aching because of old age and dancing over all those decades. So when he leans forward, it takes like 2 hours. It's not a dance, it's comedy. But having said that, what is unfolding right now in Uganda is very far from comedy. Indeed, it is tragic. The military are patrolling the streets, and many people do not realize why. But I'll tell you why. It is because there were clear signs that the police were being overwhelmed. In one incident, police tried to arrest somebody, or a group of people. The crowd overwhelmed them, and I believe a policeman even got injured. Now to me, these are clear signs of a people who are fed up, completely fed up. Fed up of the ways of one dictatorial old man called Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Now this man liberated Uganda, and he once showed us that he liberated Uganda because he loved the country. However, now he has an acid test before him. Mr. President, if you really love Uganda as you claim you do, if you really love that country, your country, then there's only one thing for you to do now. Go home. Just leave the dance floor. Now, as I make this video, the Bobi Wine issue has become an international issue. It's no longer Ugandan. Personally, my greatest concern, is about the health and well-being, and indeed, the whereabouts of this great patriotic son of Africa. Sometimes you can receive information and you get emotionally involved. Yeah, I know I always tell you guys never include emotions, but I'm just human. And your emotions get the better of you, and you start blocking that information. You start being hopeful. You start choosing to believe the positive rather than the negative. Now, yesterday I told you on this channel that this great liberator of Uganda, great son of Africa, was in a life-threatening situation. Now, the truth is, that is putting it mildly. However, I still insist on thinking positive. I still believe in miracles. But as of the time I was making this video, the government of Yoweri Museveni is yet to produce Bobi Wine. All they're doing is issuing statements and telling the public things which contradict what is already in the public domain. Things which contradict common sense. You tell us he's fine. You tell us that any reports of torture or the man being harmed is fake news. And yet, one of the other officers told us that the man was getting medical attention. Now that defies logic. Why would somebody who is fine, somebody who is okay, need medical attention? Why? Now I just want to correct something in the minds especially of older Ugandans and indeed older Kenyans. Especially those who have seen war in their lifetime, and violence, extreme violence, and they've seen the repercussions and the consequences and so on. These people are very easy to box into a corner. All you need to tell them is that the young men were being violent. They were causing chaos. They were provoking war. They were found with guns. They want to shoot back at the police, at security forces. They want to cause chaos in Uganda. They want to disturb the peace. Now, when you tell these fellows that, they completely forget the whole major issues here, and they focus on the disturbance of peace, so that it looks like the government was intervening to restore peace. And indeed, peace is important. But that's not the reality, okay? Now, the incident which led to the arrest of Bobi Wine, according to various sources, is that it all started with the presidential motorcade of Yoweri Museveni being stoned. Now, for those of us who do not understand dirty politics, and the tactics normally employed in dirty politics, and Yoweri Museveni is a guru in that, by the way, I want us to focus for just a few minutes on something called stage-managed events. Events that are stage-managed with a certain political objective in mind. History is boring to most, but humor me just for a few seconds and let me return you to October 25th, 1969. Not very far from Kampala, in a Kenyan town called Kisumu. Now, more than a week before the 25th of October, somebody was warned and told there's going to be trouble in Kisumu. Now, when the president is going to visit a place, and an intelligence officer tells you there's going to be trouble, that is a bit puzzling. Because obviously, why would the president want to go to a place where there's going to be trouble? Would not that endanger their security? Unless that trouble was going to be caused by the president's people themselves. Unless that trouble was going to be controlled, stage-managed, organized, directed by the president's people. And that is exactly what happened in Kisumu. Now I wasn't there. However, I have more information than people who are actually there. Courtesy of my political lecturer, who at the time was in the security forces. And these security forces were by extension in charge of the president's security as he attended that function. So I have a lot of information which is not even in the public domain. Now, this is what happened. Somebody threw a chair at the president, and that chair was caught in midair by a person who was close to where the president was, not even part of his direct security team. Now, On the photograph you can see on your screens right now, taken by the late veteran photographer Mohammed Amin, moments before scores of Kenyans were shot dead in cold blood. Yeah, the number has never been known up to this day exactly how many there were, but they included children who had come to entertain the visiting head of state. Now in that photograph, you can see the said chair being held by a security officer, still holding it. And you can see from the expression on his face that what I've told you is exactly what had just happened. But even more telling is the expression you can see on the faces of those security officers going for their guns. Yeah, all of them in plain clothes. You can also see the expression of the officer who already has his gun drawn. You can see his eyes gleaming, yeah, like somebody who's bloodthirsty, yeah, can't just wait to start shooting and mowing down people. Folks, this was a stage-managed event. Now, in past videos, I've given you the objectives, the whole reason. It was part of a very big operation, yeah, and of course it succeeded. But now we are talking about Uganda. Now, days before the unfortunate incident, the arrest of Bobi Wine, and this is the information available in the public domain. We know that some Ugandan security officers, warned, gave a chilling warning, we shall teach them a lesson. So here we are. We have a vehicle, belonging to the presidential motorcade, which to date has not been produced as an exhibit of exactly how it was towed. There is absolutely zero evidence. In my view, very poor stage managing, not professional at all, because they should have at least had the car exhibited, with where the stone hit it. And even the stone, if it penetrated the back windshield in the car. When you're stage managing something, the details are important. And that is supposed to be what triggered everything. Everything that is going down now in Uganda. Now here is a very sad case where somebody is using a tactic that was used in 1969. Gosh. And they're using that tactic in the year 2018. And they're not even doing it properly. Gosh. Now something else the world should know. According to reports, we're being told that Bobi Wine was found with a gun or guns. And where was he found? Inside a hotel. Again, very poor stage management. Very poor. Why? I think you already know the answer. Have you ever tried to go into a hotel anywhere in Uganda? Do you just walk in whistling with the heavy bags, carrying guns or whatever, and the hotel shows no interest? Wonders never cease. Now, because of the threat of terrorism, for a long time now, the security around any hotel in Uganda is very tight. You have to be searched before you enter. And before you enter, they'll need to know exactly every single thing you're carrying inside your bags. Therefore, carrying a gun in, just one gun, that is extremely far-fetched, let alone two guns. So my advice to those who stage manage this, you'd have been better off, arresting the man in his car. Then it's easy to plant the guns. But saying you got the guns in a hotel, go tell that to the birds. Now, before I go, I want to emphasize the reason for all this stage managing business. Now, the reason why the 25th of October stage management operation in Kisumu happened was because a very prominent politician, a political force and a threat to the Jomo Kenyatta presidency, a man called Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, had to be neutralized and completely removed from the political scene. Indeed, shortly after this incident, the man was put under house arrest. Now, back to Bobi Wine. The reason why this whole thing was stage managed was to completely neutralize a great political force that has come up in Uganda, a formidable political force, a big, great nightmare, that causes Museveni to wake up at night sweating, called Bobi Wine. That was all it was. Yeah, and the world needs to know that. But as we know now, the whole operation went terribly wrong. Why? In my view, the dictatorial regime of Yoweri Museveni greatly underestimated the political power, the reach, and the popularity of one Bobi Wine. And in my view, that single one mistake is going to prove to be fatal to the presidency of Yoweri Museveni. Why? Because now the attention of the entire world is focused on Uganda, and focused on the leadership of Uganda, and focused on the brutal nature of the dictatorial government of Yoweri Museveni. And in my view, Yoweri Museveni may not go home tomorrow, but go home he will. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.